Lessons by Buddha. Everything changes. Let us see this lesson in a form of question and answer and a bit of an explanation part. Master, I have been listening to your lectures for years, a student said during the question and answer time following a lecture. But I just don't understand. Could you just please put it in a nutshell? Can you reduce Buddhism to a one phrase? Everyone laughed, so as Master. Everything changes, he answered and moved on to another question. A bit of a deep explanation now. One of the foremost teachings in Buddhism is that everything in life is impermanent. Master is referring to this impermanence by saying everything changes. This is a very deep teaching because it encompasses everything. You can contemplate for hours on end and not realize the full magnitude of the principle of impermanence. You are impermanent. Your loved ones are impermanent. Your home is impermanent. Even our planet is impermanent. Why is this important? Because it teaches us that grasping onto things is one of the major reasons as to why we suffer. We need to live being aware of the ever-changing nature of reality and appreciate the present moment. It is not about letting go, it is really about not grasping in the first place. If we can learn to live in this way, we can find peace in everyday life. The next lesson is empty your mind. This could be explained in a conversation between a Zen master and a university professor. A Japanese Zen master during his lifetime received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen philosophy and its teachings. Now, the Japanese Zen master served a tea to him. By that time, the university professor told him about all his learnings about various topics and including Zen topic also. The Japanese Zen master quietly looked at him. He poured the university professor's cup full and then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. It's overfull and no more will go in. The Zen master quietly looked at him and said, like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? In a context, Master says, empty your mind. Next lesson is about non-judgment. Let's see this in a small story and a bit of an explanation. Once upon a time, there was an old farmer who had worked his crops for many years. One day his horse ran away. Upon hearing this news, his neighbors came to visit. Such a bad luck, they said sympathetically. Maybe, the farmer said. The next morning, the horse returned, bringing it with 3 other wild horses. How wonderful, the neighbors exclaimed. Maybe, replied the old man. The following day, his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses and was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors again came to offer their sympathy on his misfortune. Maybe, answered the farmer again. The day after, military officials came to the village to draft young men into the army. Seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him off. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. Maybe, said the farmer again, calmly and quietly. Now, the explanation part. The farmer is practicing non-judgment here. Very simply non-judgment. He understands the true nature of life, that you can't judge any event as an end in a way. Our life doesn't play out like a work of friction. There aren't definite breaks that separate one moment versus another. There isn't a perfectly formulated end which everything builds to. There is always tomorrow, and whether the day was good or bad, there was million effect which can arise from one event. Good and bad are interconnected. They are in fact two sides of the same coin. If things seem perfect, they aren't. If it seems like it, it's your concern. It is your world. It is only in your corner of a world it is perfect, not in everybody's world. Things can change in any instant. The change happens constantly at all times, and they will at some point or the another. This doesn't mean that we can't be happy. On the contrary, it means that we need to realize this truth and live in a way that we are constantly aware of it in order to find peace and happiness. Observe your life through the lens of this infinitely co-arising universe. This act in itself can bring you a great sense of peace and prosperity, calmness, and a sense of fulfillment. Next lesson is about right and wrong. Let's see the same thing in a form of small story and its explanation. There lived a Zen master, and he held a week-long meditation class for his pupils all across the country. And for that, many students from across the country came to attend also. But what happened? During one of these gatherings, a pupil was caught stealing. The matter was reported to the master directly and requested that the culprit be expelled. But the master quietly ignored the case. Later, the same pupil was caught in an act, and again he was told to the master that this guy is doing it again and again. But the master didn't take any action about him this time too. This angered the other pupils, who drew up a petition asking for the dismissal of that thief, the guy who was stealing everything, stating that otherwise they would live from this place. When the master had read the petition, he called everyone before him. "You're all great and you're all wise too." And then he continued, "You know what is right and what is not. So you guys don't need any teaching. You may all go somewhere else to study if you wish, but this poor guy does not even know what is right and wrong. Who will teach him if I am not going to do that? I am going to keep him here in this place even if all of you live." This left the boy who was stealing in a teary-eyed. He cleared his eyes and just fell on the feet of master. Now all his desires to steal vanished, and his thoughts came back to learn and be an enlightened soul. Now the explanation part. The story is pretty straightforward, but it certainly doesn't make you think any less than the rest. How quickly would most people turn their back on those who commit a crime like stealing, just as the pupils did? But look deeper and you might just see another human being, someone that simply needs to be shown the path. Don't write off people so easily. Expressing compassion isn't always easy, but we are all together in this life, so we can't just help those that keep good behavior. Those people who commit such crimes are often some of the people that need the help with the most basic spiritual and human principles, such as right and wrong. Next lesson is about be the boss. This is explained via a small situation and an explanation. Now let's see it. A horse suddenly came galloping quickly down the road. It seemed as though the man had somewhere important to go. Another man who was standing alongside the road shouted, "Where are you going?" And the man on the other side replied, "I don't know, ask the horse." Simple and sweet. Now let's get to the explanation. This is a short but a well-known Zen story with a powerful meaning behind it. The horse symbolizes our habit energy. The story explains the way we usually live, at the mercy of our old habit energies, which have been established not by our intentional actions but by our surroundings and mindless activity. The horse is pulling us along, making us run here and there and hurry everywhere, and we don't even know why. If you stop to ask yourself from time to time why exactly you are running around so much, sometimes you might have an answer, but it is never a very good one. But most of the times you don't even know what are you doing in your life because you're just so used to do it. It's how we are taught to live. But as much as we run, it gets us nowhere. We need to learn how to take back the reins and let the horse know who's the boss. Remember, you are the boss. You have always been the boss, so start acting like it. Be the boss. Next lesson is about watch yourself. There was a pair of acrobats. The teacher was poor widower and student was a young girl. These acrobats performed each day on the streets in order to earn enough to eat. Their act consists of the teacher balancing the tall bamboo pole on his head, while the little girl climbed slowly onto the top. Once on the top, she remained there while the teacher walked along the ground. Both performers had to maintain complete focus and balance in order to prevent any injury from occurring and to complete the performance successfully. One day, the teacher said to the pupil, "Listen, my dear student, I will watch you and you watch me, so that we can help each other maintain concentration and balance and prevent any accident. Then we will surely earn enough to eat." But the little girl was wise. She answered back immediately, "Dear master, I think it would be better for each of us to watch ourselves. To look after oneself means to look after both of us. That way, I am sure we will avoid any accidents and earn enough to eat." This short story has been told by Buddha himself. This story is meant to illustrate that taking care of yourself is the most important thing you can do to take care of others. By learning how to nourish your mind and body, you will naturally begin to treat those around you with more compassion, love, and kindness, and create a more positive impact on the world around you as a whole. Specifically, by taking care of yourself, the Buddha was referring to mindfulness. The Buddha also said that by taking care of others, by showing them compassion and loving and kindness, we take care of ourselves. Here is a summary of 6 lessons. Number 1, everything changes. Number 2, empty your mind. Number 3, non-judgment. Number 4, right and wrong. Number 5, be the boss. Number 6, watch yourself. Thanking you for listening till the end. Let all the good things happen in your life in multiples of infinity.